Today we're going to look at a story that we actually looked at, shared 7 to 8 months ago in a sermon series that we were doing back then. It was a sermon series on Exodus. And at that point in the sermon series that we were on, the Israelites were at the Red Sea. A backstory on that, the Israelites had been in slavery in Egypt, and Pharaoh had increased the way he was oppressing them in slavery with more arduous work and hardship on them. And Moses had come along and helped them escape from Egypt, and then God had them going through the wilderness, and then they get to the Red Sea. The Israelites look back, the Egyptians are gaining on them, they start to panic, and Moses is like, what do I do? And God says, raise your staff and hold it over the Red Sea, and I will part the Red Sea. So Moses does that. But first, before we get to the moment of parting the Red Sea, the story that we are really interested in is not in the Bible. It's actually Jewish midrash. Now, for centuries, Jewish rabbis, have commented on Hebrew scriptures and commented and back and forth, told stories about the stories and in the scriptures, kind of like us preachers, that we preach all Sundays, and we have folks in the Christian tradition that do commentaries talking about what it all means. And Jewish rabbis kind of doing the same thing, and then telling stories. Well, the story I'm about to tell is one of the most commonly known midrash stories that there is. It's the story of Nachshon. And it is a story that happens here at the parting of the Red Sea. The story goes that as Moses raised his staff to part the Red Sea, nothing happened. And everyone's just standing there. They don't say anything, they're just looking at nothing happening. And they waited. And then it became apparent that someone was going to have to go first. That was how all of this was going to take place. Someone was going to have to walk into the water first, trusting that God would indeed part the sea and save the Israelites, saving them once again from the Egyptians. Still no one moved. Standing there, staring at the water, waiting. Until one person stepped forward. One man, Nachshon. Nachshon walked to the water's edge, waded in to his ankles. Nothing happened. Knees, water didn't part. Hips, shoulders, didn't part. Neck, started getting a little more serious. Past his mouth to his nose. He actually waded in to the top of his head. At that point, the water parted. And suddenly, the land that he was standing on was dry land. Nachshon tells a deeper level to this story of the Red Sea. Nachshon stepped forth in courage to lead his community of faith forward to safety and to the promised land. Before it was over, he was willing to sacrifice his life to this end. Today, me and you here at Spirit of Hope, we find ourselves on our Exodus journey. Back in September and October, when we explored this sermon series on the Exodus, We never dreamed that we would be here at this point. But we find ourselves at a knock shown moment. Tomorrow, our guiding board will be will meet for a charge conference to vote on whether to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Wellspring Church here in Englewood, along with a few other parties. This is not the final step in all of this. We're looking at potentially swapping buildings with Wellspring Church. And out of that, then there will be, Wellspring will be paying extra money in the deal. This is not a final step, but it is an important step. Let's hear now from some of our folks with the guiding board, and how their thoughts are going right now about this measure.
Greetings to all of you at Spirit of Hope United Methodist Church. I don't know about you, but when I first heard about the fact that we might be considering a church swap with another church in the Englewood area, that seemed like a long time ago, but it was just a short few weeks ago when that first came up. And I remember the anxiety that I felt at that time. And over the course of the last several weeks, with the focus being so much on COVID-19, we've had a lot more to think about than just the church swap deal. But as we've gotten closer to the actual date, and having gone through some meetings with fellow members of Spirit of Hope, it's becoming rapidly a reality that we are having to make this decision. In fact, we have to make the decision by this coming Monday about whether or not to affirm the idea of making this swap with another church. When I've thought about and prayed about the concerns that I've had, maybe like you, I see that this is our best option at this time, is to go ahead and go through with this program of swapping churches with the Wellspring Church. And we have a lot of people to thank who've done a lot of work. Shar and our district superintendent and various committee members here at Spirit of Hope been thinking about this and working on this for some time now. But it seems to me, from everything that I'm hearing from others too and what I've read, that we are in position of being able to make this church swap and continue with a mission and a vision of Spirit of Hope like we've had in the past, but in a facility that I think is going to be very pleasing to people. If this all goes through, that we'll be able to manage this smaller building, unlike what we've been able to do here at this building located at 3885 South Broadway in Englewood. One that we've just not been able to sustain anymore financially. So I feel like our vision and our mission is something that we can reformulate among ourselves if this all goes through, and really look forward to a time of ministry together and a chance to really be able to develop the kind of ministry that we've been working on for several years now, quite a few years in fact, but even moved forward more quickly since the time of Chris Carr and now Charlotte Carr. So I'm hoping that this change, if it all goes through, will be one that you all are going to be feeling good about too, and just kind of think about the future of Spirit of Hope in a whole new way, unlike we've been able to do in the past several years. So thanks to all of you for your time.
Hi, Spirit of Hope members. My name is Larry Farmer, and talking about the chance for our church to move to a new place and kind of start afresh. It looks like it is the best thing that we can do for this particular congregation. We're going to end up getting some money that we can use for operating that we don't have now. And as you all know, this building is something that we cannot maintain. The new building is something that we can. It's a good size for us, and it will give us an opportunity to move into the future.
Hello, this is Doug Schellinger. I just wanted to talk to you for a second, let you know what I thought of the plan that we're working on. I believe that it will be in our best interest to do this. I think it will benefit the church, and that will be not only keeping our existing membership good, we will also be helping to start a new church. And so I think that will be a blessing all the way around for everybody. So I look forward to any questions that you may have in the future from me, but I think this will be a good thing for everybody. Thank you.
Hi, I am so excited about this new move. It will help us grow, it will help us with our new ministries, but it's also going to help us as a legacy church to move on and do the things that we do now. We are an amazing group of people that we need to survive. We are warriors. My dream is to provide help and a safe place for the LGBTQ, for the people that are struggling, that are having issues in life, that we will have open doors for everyone, which we have now, but we will have a better location for that.
Like Nakshon, we find ourselves stepping forward into an unknown future. We find ourselves also seeking safety, as Nakshon was, and the Israelites were. That safety being largely economic security, as well as a building that we can take care of, a smaller building, one that's perhaps in better shape. We're also looking for a promise of a better tomorrow. The legacy congregation having funding that will carry them forward for a number of years. And also a new church start. A new church that's going to bloom out of the legacy congregation and to become that legacy congregation's actual legacy here in Englewood. A new Methodist church to be born here in Englewood out of that legacy congregation. The guiding board has had several discussions as this has played out here. This plan, I guess, or well, yeah, I guess plan would be the word. The discussions have centered around the economic details, the physical details of moving or swap or what have you, but then many times the conversation has circled back around to, are we doing right by the wonderful saints of our church? And then people would name off saints that have gone on long before us, and then the wonderful saints that still sit with us in our pews. The equity in Emmanuel United Methodist Church, the equity in Englewood United Methodist Church, the equity built up in the buildings, the physical buildings, the financial equity of those buildings, the equity built up in the relationships of those churches, the equity built in the values and the beliefs of those churches, the equity built in spirit of hope, that equity that lives on in spirit of hope, those values, those beliefs, those relationships, the buildings. if all of this goes through, if we do make this swap, if we make this move, if this financial security comes to be, if this new church happens, all of this equity moves with us. And indeed, it is the equity that makes this happen. It is the equity that is the promise. The promise of all those years in the past that moves forward has been dreamt by all of those people and now comes to fruition as we move forward. The move to the new building and an equity that is starting a new church, birthing a new church. Promise. Promise. We're still on that walk. It's a journey. Let's see where we go. Amen.